When a narcissist tries to destroy an empath, this is what happens. Hello everyone, and welcome to today's video. I'm really excited to have you here, because today we're going to dive into a topic that I know will resonate with many of you, especially if you've ever found yourself entangled in a toxic dynamic with someone who displays narcissistic traits. Today, we're talking about what happens when a narcissist tries to destroy an empath. It's a clash between two fundamentally different types of people, one who thrives on control and manipulation, and the other who feels deeply and intuitively. When these two forces collide, it can be emotionally devastating, but it can also lead to profound growth and empowerment for the empath. So, grab a seat, settle in, and let's dive into this intense yet enlightening conversation. First off, let's talk about the nature of a narcissist and an empath. These two personality types are polar opposites in many ways. A narcissist is someone who craves attention, admiration, and control. They have an inflated sense of self-importance, and they often lack empathy for others. Their primary focus is on maintaining their own image, no matter the cost to those around them. Narcissists are masters of manipulation and are incredibly skilled at getting what they want by using tactics like gaslighting, blame shifting, and emotional abuse. Their entire worldview revolves around power, control, and self-gratification. On the other hand, empaths are individuals who are highly sensitive to the emotions of others. They tend to absorb the feelings and energy of those around them, often at the expense of their own well-being. Empaths are deeply compassionate, nurturing, and intuitive, and they usually prioritize the needs of others above their own. While this makes them incredibly caring individuals, it also makes them vulnerable to being manipulated by narcissists, who can easily exploit their kindness and empathy. When a narcissist encounters an empath, it's like a moth drawn to a flame. The narcissist sees the empath's kindness and sensitivity as an opportunity for control. To a narcissist, an empath's compassion is a weakness that they can exploit for their own gain. Narcissists are drawn to empaths because they see them as easy targets, people who will bend over backward to please them, give them the attention and admiration they crave, and most importantly, won't challenge their behavior. For the narcissist, the empath represents the perfect source of narcissistic supply. At first, the relationship between a narcissist and an empath might seem harmonious, even ideal. The narcissist lavishes attention on the empath, charming them with flattery and affection. This is the love-bombing phase, a tactic narcissists use to hook their victims emotionally. During this phase, the empath feels valued and appreciated, and their natural desire to help and nurture others kicks into high gear. The narcissist knows exactly how to make the empath feel special, which makes the empath even more invested in the relationship. But underneath the surface, the narcissist is setting the stage for something far more sinister. As the relationship progresses, the narcissist begins to reveal their true nature. They start to devalue the empath, criticizing them, belittling them, and undermining their sense of self-worth. This is where the manipulation begins in earnest. Narcissists are experts at making their victims doubt themselves. They use tactics like gaslighting, where they deny reality or twist the truth to make the empath question their own perception of events. The empath, who is naturally inclined to see the good in others and to take responsibility for making relationships work, may begin to internalize the narcissist's criticisms. They might start to believe that they are the problem, that they aren't doing enough to keep the narcissist happy, or that they are somehow flawed or unworthy. This is where the real damage occurs. Narcissists thrive on control, and once they've eroded the empath's self-esteem, they can exert even more influence over them. The empath, who once felt confident and secure may now feel dependent on the narcissist for validation. They become trapped in a cycle of trying to win back the narcissist's approval, even as the narcissist continues to move the goalposts, making it impossible for the empath to ever truly please them. It's a devastating emotional roller coaster, and for many empaths, it can feel like they are losing themselves in the process. But here's where things get interesting. While narcissists are incredibly skilled at manipulating others, they often underestimate the strength of an empath. Empaths, though sensitive and compassionate, are also deeply intuitive and resilient. They may not immediately recognize the narcissist's tactics, but over time, many empaths begin to sense that something is wrong. Their intuition starts to kick in, and they begin to see through the narcissist's facade. This is the turning point in the relationship, the moment when the empath starts to awaken to the truth. When an empath realizes that they are being manipulated and used, it can be an incredibly painful and disorienting experience. They may feel betrayed, confused, and devastated by the realization that someone they cared for so deeply has been intentionally trying to harm them. But this moment of awakening is also incredibly powerful. Once the empath sees the narcissist for who they truly are, they begin to reclaim their power. They start to set boundaries, to prioritize their own well-being, and to distance themselves from the narcissist's toxic influence. This is where the dynamic between the narcissist and the empath starts to shift. Narcissists are used to being in control, and when they sense that the empath is starting to pull away or assert themselves, they often become more aggressive in their attempts to regain control. They may ramp up their manipulative tactics, intensify their criticism, or even resort to threats or emotional blackmail. But at this point, many empaths have already begun the process of emotional detachment. They've seen the narcissist's true colors, and they are no longer willing to be a source of narcissistic supply. For the narcissist, this loss of control is infuriating. Narcissists are deeply insecure individuals, and when they lose their ability to manipulate and control someone, it feels like a direct threat to their sense of self-worth. They may lash out, trying to destroy the empath emotionally, but what the narcissist doesn't realize is that the empath has already begun to heal. Once an empath recognizes the toxic nature of the relationship, they can begin to protect themselves from further harm. They become more grounded in their own self-worth, more attuned to their own needs, and less vulnerable to the narcissist's manipulation. In many cases, this is where the narcissist's attempts to destroy the empath ultimately backfire. While the narcissist may try to undermine the empath's confidence or make them feel powerless, the empath is actually growing stronger. The more the narcissist pushes, the more the empath learns to assert their boundaries and protect their energy. And in the end, it's often the empath who walks away from the relationship with their sense of self intact, while the narcissist is left scrambling to find a new source of supply. The experience of being targeted by a narcissist can be incredibly painful for an empath, but it can also be a transformative experience. Many empaths come out of these relationships with a deeper understanding of their own boundaries, a greater sense of self-worth, and a heightened ability to protect themselves from toxic individuals. They learn to trust their intuition, to listen to their own needs, and to prioritize their own well-being in a way that they may not have done before. In this way, the narcissist's attempt to destroy the empath ultimately leads to the empath's growth and empowerment. Of course, this process isn't easy, and it's important to acknowledge that not all empaths are able to break free from a narcissistic relationship on their own. Some may need the support of therapy, close friends, or family members to help them see the truth and regain their strength. But once an empath begins to recognize their own power, they are capable of incredible resilience. The very traits that made them vulnerable to the narcissist in the first place, their compassion, their sensitivity, and their deep empathy, are also the traits that make them strong. In the end, the dynamic between a narcissist and an empath is one of imbalance. The narcissist seeks to control and manipulate, while the empath initially seeks to nurture and heal. But once the empath realizes that they are being used, the power dynamic begins to shift. The empath reclaims their autonomy, sets boundaries, and protects themselves, while the narcissist is left without a source of validation. And in this way, the narcissist's attempts to destroy the empath ultimately lead to their own downfall. Thank you all so much for joining me in this deep dive into the relationship between narcissists and empaths. I hope this conversation has shed some light on the dynamics at play and has given you a greater understanding of how these two very different personalities interact. If you've ever found yourself in a toxic relationship with a narcissist, know that there is hope and that you have the power to reclaim your life and your sense of self-worth. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your experiences and how you've navigated relationships with narcissists.